Hey guys, what's up? It's Rake bringing you a video about the new monster Bulbie and where they're going to be useful at. I've got them right here because I literally did like 45 of these rebirths already this month. So you have the light, the dark, the fire, the water, and the grass here. Big important thing to note on these monsters is right now in their Evo 1 form, their active skill is going to be single target, and once we evolve them and get them into their Evo 2 or Evo 3 form, their active skill is going to be an AoE attack. So super important to keep in mind here. Let's go ahead and start with the light and dark because those are the ones that a lot of people tend to think are the better ones. But with this time around, I don't actually think that the light and dark are going to be the ones that most people are going to want to grab simply because they don't have as much utility as some of the other versions of them. So let's start with the light here. He is a defender type, so higher defense than all his other stats. So you can see here just with the Evo 1 4-star here, 380, 247, 287, and then 3900 HP. Again, those will be different as you get to the higher levels here. But if you look at their skills here, his is 80% chance to reduce the enemy's overall HP recovery for 2 turns. So he's got recovery down and recovery down. 80 and 100% chance. So where is he going to be good? On the light Odin TOC floor. The one where she constantly is healing, or any of the floors where you have to deal with a lot of the healing. The ones with the Cottonines, the floor with the fire, well, not really Fire Kira because she's more of a shielder, but the light Odin, the Cottines, potentially even floor 70, like the very end, because if you can get the recovery down on the Fire Vamp or on the Cupids and prevent them from, healing everybody, well then you're going to have an easier time knocking them down. But aside from that, not really a whole lot going on with that guy. The dark one is an attack type. So as you can see here, his attack is already a little bit higher there. And if you look at his skills, or her skills, expose weakness 70 and 80, or 70 and 100, pretty much the same percentage chances as the other ones. And as we've seen, expose weakness pretty much guarantees double damage on whatever the next attack is that hits the monster with exposed weakness. So it lasts for 2 turns on the first skill and lasts for 1 turn on the second skill, but like I said, once she gets Evo 2'd or 3'd, becomes an AoE attack, so you get that like wave. It'll help with wave clearing if you need problems with that, or if you're having problems with that. But otherwise, exposed weakness is nice, but it's not as good as defense down, because whereas the difference being, yeah, you're going to get the double damage out of exposed weakness. However, with defense down, it's going to work on all the attacks that hit after it gets applied, versus exposed weakness is just the one attack that hits, because then it goes away. Moving on, we have the fire one. It's a tank type, so higher HP than anything else. It's going to have stun, 70% chance for stun, 60% chance for thirst. Great monster for PvP, especially if you're putting her on defense. She could be useful on attack as well, but the ability to lower your target skill gauge on an AoE scale and stun monsters for 1 turn allows you to help lock down teams, or lock down specific units. So making sure that certain units are like not getting off, like say you're going up against a team with the Dark Seedler who just hits like a truck, you could stun him out and make sure that he's not there. So yeah, PvP monster, so clan versus clan or the individual ladder would be pretty good for that. Moving on, we have the water, who's also an attacker, so the same type of level as the dark, maybe not as high of attack because it's starting as a natural 3-star, but it's still going to be pretty good. This one is in fact the one that I will probably be building for my own based on its skill set. First skill is 100% chance to dispel enemy shields, so TOC 40, I believe, where the Fire Kira is. It's going to break that first off, and then the active skill is Unflinching Strike, which is the one that we've actually seen kind of creep up more than Courageous Strike does, because they kind of have started holding back on Courageous Strike, because they went 4-3-3, kind of went crazy on that skill. But Unflinching Strike is like a slightly weaker version of Courageous Strike. So still going to have that increase in attack proportional to the target's maximum HP. And you'll want to make sure that, so you're using that on like Titans, Colossus, that Fire Kira stage, she is going to wreck face because the Fire Kira shield is based on the amount of HP Fire Kira has, so her shield is really strong. So that Unflinching Strike is going to hit that much harder. So that's the water one. Like I said, probably the one that I'm going to be building because I just see more use out of the water one and more of the PvE content, not necessarily PvP. And then we have the wood one, which is a balance type, so kind of even stats across the board. 60% chance to inflict enemy with sap for 2 turns. So 10% of an enemy's life if it hits, and then buff breaker, 100% chance to dispel all enemy enhancements. Can be used, I can say, in probably PvP, or I would say even not Titans, but Colossus, because the buff breaker will help, especially with the golems and the Colossus, because the side units will buff each of those bosses, and if you're able to AoE dispel, then you're going to be golden, especially on some of those bosses where it's harder to kill the right hand side minion, because those are the ones that also tend to buff, so they tend to have stronger defense. But having that buff breaker on there is always nice. And it's also a skill that's very underused a little bit. So, yeah. So that's Bulbie. Like I said, you got all 5 of them here. They're the new monster. They're going to be pretty good, pretty easy to use. But they all kind of have their different uses, which I'm really glad that 433 did it that way. Only because the last few Rebirth monsters, as I've been looking at them, have either been redos of past Rebirth monsters, or they have been specifically like damage dealing monsters, or hey, we're going to do this and it's specifically going to be a hunter type monster. So it's kind of been gearing people towards Colossus and Titans and stuff like that, where you're going for the elemental advantage. But it's kind of nice that they did this with the Bulbie monsters, so that way each one has its own little kind of niche that can be filled. But yeah, so that's Bulbie. If you have any questions, post them in the comments section below. Be more than happy to answer and get back to you. Other than that, make sure that you are enjoying the game and, play smart.